Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to go into the Miriam Joy vault and pull out some of my Christmas videos that I think you really enjoy. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be working on our corn husk Christmas trees, and I've been working with the corn husk a lot this year, as a lot of you might have known, in the harvest and fall things. And then I thought, well, why not turn them into Christmas tree? And I love these Christmas trees. I'm going to make an army of them, but I wanted to share them with you. And they also make great centerpieces or backdrops for other little characters or Christmas decorations, kind of like I've got them set up with the mice. So we're going to show you how we did that. First of all, we're going to take our corn husk. And these are the kind that you find in the grocery store that you make your tamales out of. And find the cheapest ones you can. The cheaper the better. The more expensive ones have a waxy coat on them and they don't like to dye as well, which is okay. They still look kind of Christmassy tree looking, so whatever you're comfortable with, go ahead and, but if you can get the more inexpensive ones, get those. They do dye a lot better. So we're going to take our corn husk, and there's a bunch in a package. You just open the package and they just kind of explode on you. So I take them all, I put them in warm water, and I start pulling them apart one by one. And then I put them in a bucket, and I put enough water over the bucket just to cover up the corn husk. And usually you have to set something on them as well. And then I dye them. I usually use a fabric dye, or Ritz dye, anything like that. On one like this, so I probably use half the bottle. Or you could use like a leather dye. I don't think I would use any of the alcohol inks or stamping inks, because then you're getting into a little bit too much more cost and the color's not quite as concentrated. So I would stick with something like that. And the leather dye I'm a little bit more concerned about fading over time. So that is what I did. And then I left it. It tells you 30 minutes. I leave mine a lot longer depending on what I'm doing. So whatever you are comfortable with letting those dye. But not only that, we put together a pack for you to take the trouble of it out. And when we're done, the pack will come with your already pre-dyed corn husk. And I think I'm going to include at least 10 in the packet, and then also your cone for your Christmas tree. And this is just a styrofoam cone, and that we're going to be working on today. So we've got those on a nice little package, and actually the way we're doing it is less inexpensive for you by the time you buy all the different products. So come on over to miriamjoy.com and check out the little Christmas, the corn husk Christmas tree packet that we've got for you there, just to make it easy. So we're going to unwrap our cone. And you can do different sizes. This is just the one I like the best. This one turns into that size by the time we're done. So that's tall enough for me. And then I just take it and I trace around it with my pencil. And we're going to cut this out real quick. And we're going to glue this to the bottom. And the only reason we're doing this is to stabilize it a little bit more. And I also like to put them on the candlesticks, the crystal candlestick holders, and that gives them a height. And you can put a few of those on the table, but it's going to keep that from being so what's the word I'm looking for? It won't disintegrate as easy. I'm just going to glue this on with my glue gun here. And because we're working with foam, I'm going to keep my glue gun on my low temp setting. Otherwise it's just going to melt your foam. So that's real important that we keep it on the low temp setting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take strips of my corn husk, and probably about 4 to 5 inches long, and cut them, and we'll use this for another area up above. Why we want to glue this long piece on is so when we put another layer on, this part won't show. So that's kind of important that we do that. So we're going to come in, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give our tree a little bit of a curl. And when I was doing this, I was trying all kinds of things to get it to curl. I was wetting them down and putting them around a dowel, and they weren't turning out nice, or it just wasn't working. So I thought, why can't we use a curling iron? So I came in with my curling iron. And most of us have a curling iron, or if you don't, you could get well, if you wanted to keep one for your craft room, get one at the thrift store. And I'm going to show you the 2 different sizes and how they curl. So I turn it on, and I'm simply going to walk it down. And when I walk it down, it makes it a little bit more pliable too. Now this is completely dry from when I have dyed it. And all we're going to do is give it a little curl on the end. That is our larger one. And we're going to come in here and show you the smaller one. And walk it down and get it to that very tip and just curl it up. Now if it's sliding through and not catching, push this with your finger back to hold it into place and curl that up. So that's 2 different sizes. Both of those are fine. You can use either one. I'll probably be using my small one today, but like I said, most of us have a curling iron at home, so it's not something we have to run out and buy. So we're going to go ahead and start working our way up here. Now the first layer is going to be a little bit different than the rest of the layers. And I curl that tip, and then I come and I put glue like a square right where it starts to curl up. And we're going to come over here, and you want that curl to be at the bottom. And we're going to just put that on. Now what I do once I get that on is I come in and I pull these apart. I don't do it before because I don't want them running up higher. I just want them real low like that. Now we're going to go to another piece here. And I will tell you that the thinner pieces work better than like the real thicker pieces. These are more coarse and they're harder to do. But you may, if you have thicker and thinner, you may want the thicker ones for the bottom. And we're tearing these 1.5 inches to 2 inches apart. There really is no right or wrong. We're going to try and keep them about the same the closer we get to, well, the bottom is okay, but then when we start doing it higher, we're going to try and keep them all about the same size. And you can sit down and curl these all, a few of these. And then, because this is actually going to be used in another piece up higher, so one strand is going to make several branches on your tree. And if you notice, I have the dark side on the inside, and then the not so colorful is going to go against our background. And we're going to come in and cut these all about the same length. And we're going to glue them all the way around this first one. Another thing I will tell you is keep your curling irons in a separate tray away from your glue, so don't get your glue on your curling irons. And I'm going to overlap that just a tad, not much. And see, once I start pulling these off, they're going to kind of blend in together. I'm going to put a stranded glue right there because that's coming up. Of course, follow all your procedures with your curling iron. It is hot. Be careful, don't burn yourself. All of your basic safety guidelines when using your curling iron. It is very hot. And I would use a tray. I'm using a metal cookie sheet to put it on. Got this one a little bit longer here. And if you use your glue gun on your low temp setting, then you're less likely to burn yourself. So yeah, cut that one off about 1 inch higher than the rest of them. And we're just going to continue around until we make the base for our Christmas tree. Now that one didn't go up real straight, so I'm going to overlap it a little bit. And you're making a base for this too. You're making it nice and sturdy. If these aren't straight at the tips, come in and cut them off straight. And also when you apply the heat, it makes them more pliable. Because before that they're kind of fragile, but once you apply that heat, you can bend them a little bit more while they're warm. So that's another reason to kind of do it. If your curling iron has different setting temperatures on it, test it to make sure you don't have it too hot. Cut that guy off straight. Forgot to tear this guy's little branches. Little curl. Use those guys in a while. If you get that up, you want these guys to be all about the same height where they start to curl. So if you put it up too high, pull it down real quick before it dries. I would recommend on that first row leaving it on the table so you don't get those up too far down so it can't sit flush. And like this guy, if he starts to uncurl a little bit, he didn't seem to be as curled as tight, just go back and curl him some more. Not a big deal at all. That guy's so little up at top, I'm just gonna leave him on. Just put him on there because he's not worth pulling, and I should. He was too thin at the top. It kind of left a hole here. We'll have to make sure that we get him covered up. And the nice thing about with a low temp setting, as you can see, if you get your fingers into it, it's not going to blister you like the high temp does. And I always used a high temp glue gun. It's worth it just to get a low one, just so you can do things like that without burning yourself. Okay, so you can see, just kind of meet the two. All right, So what we're going to do now is we're going to do 3 sections on each level and then go up higher and do 3. So we'll do 1, 2, and 3, go up and do 1, 2, and 3 opposite of those sizes. So I want them all about the same width now too. So when you put this total of 6 on, that you've covered all of the area around the tree. So I'm going to go ahead and tear myself 6 pieces and curl those. Now if they're not straight, straighten them out. These are a little bit at an angle. And once you get that base on, you're going to be surprised how fast the rest of this will really go together. Right about there. Leave that for the next layer. Do our all the way around near the edge. Make sure you're bumping up against that edge. Okay, so I want to come up, I don't know if that's an inch or 2, right about there. Okay, so I want to make sure that my next one is the same. Remember, we're going to leave space in between here, and if you need to kind of measure, then kind of measure with your third one. And you want it about the same distance as that one. Forgot we've already curled. And again, same distance. So we've got our 3 on. So I'm going to come in here. Tear all those real quick. Okay, so we want to make sure that, see, this meets now, and we've covered up all of those, and we're going to bring that up about that much higher. So this is our next row. About the same distance up that we did the last one. And see why it's real important to make sure we have that green come up right there. Otherwise you'd have a cone showing through, and we don't want to do that. Make sure he's, again, the same level. And the third one. See how quick this is starting to come together? The first one I did, which is a beautiful little tree, I moved up about a ½ an inch and made them solid rows, and it took me a few hours to finish that tree. And I really think that I like this look better than the other look anyway. I think that it's too much and it's a lot less time consuming. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to leave the camera rolling, and I'm just going to keep on building. And we're going to kind of fast forward it here so you can see me do a few layers, and then I'm going to show you how to finish up the top. Okay, as you see, I have left these guys above the cone. We haven't squished them together or anything, so we're going to do those 3 above the cone. And we're going to start building the top of that tree, making that higher. So we're going to tear our little guys. And you don't have to do these even. You could put these very uneven different ones here and there in different layers. That's fine. This is just how I did it. So now we're going to go up one higher. And at the top of the tree, you can start making them a little bit closer together as well. That's up to you, however you want to do that. But you can see how we're starting to build on the height. And it's going to start being so close that all 3 pieces are going to start to meet as well. And how this ends up being so much taller than our cone. It's really cool. Let's see if I want to do that one or if I'm going to start using my smaller pieces. I think I'm going to do one more row of my bigger pieces. And then I'm going to start using my tops, because the tops are smaller and they're more pointed at the top, so that way I can get more of a broken off tree section. I just really enjoy these. I think these are a lot of fun. And when you get your glue, you can start making those a tip while the glue's still warm in there. Okay, this is the last of our big one. I'm going to start moving over to those little feathered tops. See how we're starting to get that tip on our tree. Now the little ones, what I'm talking about is the little tips, because see how they're getting more narrow at the top, and there's some that are even just kind of the right size tips, and if not, you can even just cut them down a little bit so they're all about the same at the top. And we're going to go ahead and curl that bottom section. And these get softer too near the tips, so that's nicer too because they're easier to work with. This guy tore just a little bit. Let's see if we want to make him a longer one or not. And then you can decide how tall you want to make your tree. Let's see, we've got him. Because you can keep going higher than I am just by doing that. Trying to bring these kind of to a point. I'm going to put one layer, I think, more in them, if not two. And you can see how we're starting to get the top of it. A little bit too much glue there. This is how important our tops are to us as well. So I want to get some good tops here. And take those. This guy, you can always cut your tops too a little bit if you need to, if they're getting too pointy at the same size. And use this guy right here, 3. The little Christmas mice that I have at the base of the trees are a class. We had to make it a class because there's a lot of detail work into it, but they're really fun. And they're not really hard. Everybody else thinks they're hard. They're not really that hard. And you could sit down and do them in an afternoon. And if you're doing a couple, you can almost do them as fast in a chain where you're sitting up working one at a time or several at a time as doing one. So think about doing those for Christmas. Those are a lot of fun. Those are available on our website. But also I'm going to be doing a corn husk Christmas wreath as well. It's going to be a lot different than my fall ones. Check out the garland, the fall garland. That would be really pretty as a red and green Christmas garland. So just know that you can convert the colors and do that as well. That guy is kind of sitting on that guy a little bit there. Let's scoot him over just a tad. So, kind of has almost a Grinch Christmas tree or an animated tree to me feel to it. So I've almost got that at my point. I think I'm going to stop at this row. But you could go a bit taller if you wanted to go taller. But see how we've kind of made those kind of twist off at the top. And I may just leave that little part sticking up there. Otherwise you can kind of just twist it with a little bit of glue in there. You could put stars on them. You could decorate them with a little tiny tree decorations. I want to show you another thing my husband picked up for me at the store. They called it the party necklace, but it's little Christmas ornaments. It actually came with 2 extra batteries. It was at the grocery store. I'm sure the other stores have it too. And it's got 3 different flashing settings on it. So you could put these little guys onto your tree as well and do kind of fun things with that. So there's all kinds of ways that you could decorate it. So think, you know, little things like that. And think of little berries or beads or bulbs. And there's also the small tree section at your store. And I want you to see how much leftovers I had. I counted out 10 corn husks when I started, and we haven't even touched that. Now, this guy is not quite as full as this guy, but still, that went such a long, long ways. And then I was talking about taking them and setting them on the crystal candle holders, and you can find those usually for 99 cents, if not cheaper, and giving you your height. You could put some garland down here like I did on that one and then you could hot glue it on, and then after the season's then you could pop it off. But I just fell in love with these. I thought these were really, really a lot of fun, and I couldn't wait to share these with you. So jump on over to miriamjoy.com, where we have the kits available, so you don't have to go to trouble. You can just sit down and make your little Christmas trees, your corn husk Christmas trees. Or jump on over to our YouTube button, where it takes you straight to more of our fun YouTube videos that we're doing for you, especially at Christmas time. We just love the holidays and try and get everybody in the holiday spirit and do it economical for you. So I guess my Christmas tree ran away with the sled or something. All right, thank you for joining me today. God bless.